everyone, this is RadTechShu and welcome to another episode of Battleborn character reviews. And in this video we are going to be looking at Galilea. We're going to be looking at the Wraith of Bliss herself. We're going to be going over her backstory and lore, as well as some battle tips and combat tactics I've used in story mode and versus mode. And we're also going to be looking at some unique item setups that help maximize her efficiency in combat and help you beast it up on your opponents. So let's get right into her backstory. The first thing you should know about Galilea is that she is a Halician from the planet Halicia. Her home planet was taken by the Varelsi some time ago, but the Halicians were pretty good fighters, known for their longevity, their ability to live exceedingly long, and also she was part of the Halician Corps, pretty much I guess their elite warrior class, and after she left her home world, after the planet Halicia was taken by the Varelsi, she was caught up in the War of the Being, which was a fight between the Eldred and the Generate Empire. After that war, the Eldred Vigilant Order, decided to task her with the infiltration of the Generate, Empire. She was sent to the Generate Empire to pose as an acolyte for the Templar of the Silent Sisters. What Umbra is, a Silent Sister, Galilea was sent to become one as well, but only to pose as an acolyte, only to pose as someone who hoped to become a Templar, one of the Silent Sisters. In reality, she was sent there to destroy the sustainment engine. However, as she was an acolyte for the Order of the Sustaining Mother in an attempt to become one of the Silent Sisters, that is how she met and became friends with Umbra. However, when the time came for her to make her move and try and destroy the sustainment engine, Umbra was clearly not pleased with that, and the two of them were no longer friends at that point because Umbra's trust had been completely broken and betrayed, and Umbra to this day still does not trust or respect Galilea for what she did. Now, Galilea had infiltrated the Generate Empire for 20 years before she made her move. She spent 20 years undercover pretending to be a member, a prodigy, wanting to be an acolyte of the Silent Sisters. So for 20 years, she waited and bided her time until she made her move. Now, when she was forced to flee because her cover had been blown, she had fortunately gained some powers. She had become partially sustained herself. How she became that way, I'm not entirely sure. It could have been an unfortunate side effect of her trying to mess with the sustainment engine, or it could have been the fact that because she was there for 20 years, being sustained, the sustainment process is a slow and steady process, and she may have just been slowly, partially sustained as part of her training. I don't know. It's not fully explained in the lore in the game, so maybe we'll get some expansion on that later on, but as of right now, we know that Galilea is partially sustained. Now, that is also what has contributed to her corruption powers, but that has also contributed to her mental stability. She is much more unstable now and prone to violence. If she gets agitated or antagonized, she is liable to kill someone just so that they will leave her alone. She is very prone to violence. She is unstable. She is not safe to be around when she's upset. And she's even killed someone. She killed this individual named Ebris just because they were having an argument during a debriefing session, when the Vigilant Order spoke to her about her failed mission, the one they tasked her with in order to destroy the sustainment engine of the Generate Empire. So she's very dangerous, she's a loose cannon, she's not safe to be around, and that's probably why she separated herself for so long and lived in isolation on Bliss for a very long time. She would attack any Generate soldier on site. Anyone else she would try to flee from because she did not want to cause anyone trouble. And she's not completely devoid of emotion. It's not like she's become heartless. She does have regret and remorse. She feels bad for the loss of her homeworld. She feels even worse for betraying Umbra. She really did care for Umbra, and she understood that Umbra trusted her wholeheartedly, and she feels bad for betraying her. But she had to do what she had to do. She knew the Generate Empire was a threat in her eyes, and she was definitely not about to let her friendship with Umbra cloud her judgment and prevent her from carrying out her mission. So Galilea has some deep levels of emotion, and she's definitely not a one-dimensional character. She's got a good range of feelings. She's got a very tragic past, and it's one of the reasons why I like her so much is she's definitely not an evil person that gives in to her malicious nature. She's a kind, caring person who has a dark tainted past and wields dark corrupted powers, and she doesn't like them. Many times in battle you hear her say, "Don't make me do that again." She does not like to use her dark corruption powers, but unfortunately it's just the more she fights, the more agitated she gets, and the more corrupted, and enveloped in darkness she becomes. So Galilea is a very fun and interesting character to listen to, and that's it for her lore and backstory. And now we're going to move on to her Helix loadout, and I'm going to show you the loadout that I've used to just completely wreck face, as you can see right here in front of you. So we're just going to go ahead and go to the Helix loadout right now. Alright, so here we are with Galilea's Helix build. So we're going to go over both story missions and versus game mode loadouts. Right off the bat, it's actually very either or. For versus missions, I like to use Vortex. Vortex is awesome because if they're trying to get away, I can activate Vortex, pull them closer, and it just makes it so that it's difficult for them to run away, and it kind of staggers them just a little bit. Enemies that are... But for PvP, Herald's Return is also not too bad. The shield will automatically return once it hits an enemies, and since there's countless ads during story missions, it's easy to constantly get it. For level 2, I tend to go with Mark of the Feeble for versus mode, and then Skilled Throw for story missions. Once again, Skilled Throw, you're going to have plenty of ads, so it's going to bounce around, and Mark of the Feeble is definitely good because you hit them, you stun them with the shield, and it prevents them from healing. So if, like, say for instance it's Miko and he tries to activate biosynthesis, it won't work for several seconds. Level 3, for both PvP and story mode, for both I choose It's Dangerous to Go Alone. I used to not like it, but after playing with it, it's just become so awesome. The damage you inflict, yeah, it's not much, but when Galilea is constantly attacking, because she's at full health, and she's at close range, every attack every sword swing will do its own base damage, and it will also hit them with that projectile. So you're essentially just doing it's extra damage for every swing, so long as she's at full health. And if you can if you can stay, if you have someone like Miko constantly healing you, or Umbra, or both Miko and Umbra, which I've seen some people do, it's Dangerous to Go Alone is actually very dangerous for your opponents, which is what it should be called. But for level 4, this is actually your personal preference. Every single one of these is pretty good. I'm not that big of a fan of Chaotic Confusion over here on the left of blue, because it doesn't heal as much. If it was like 80 per second, that would be nice. But 30 per second is not all that great when you think about it, because the Desecrate doesn't last that long, and it's only staying within Desecrate. So if you are, or your allies are within the Desecrate field, that's the only way it's going to apply. But as soon as you leave it, you don't get that much of a bonus, so you'd have to stay in there for very little health, so I don't like it. But Bleak Quiet and Forsaken Grounds, both are very good. You can go with either one. Bleak Quiet is also excellent because it prevents people from using skills to save their asses in a panic situation. That way it'll catch them off guard, and at that point they're forced to run. Now this is her best one. I think Anti-Hero is the best augment that Galilea has access to. Up to 35% attack speed, that is brutal, and I mean brutal. The fact that you are just able to keep constantly attacking. Yes, the Pact is pretty good. Her corruption increases at a faster rate, and Galilea's health regenerates while corruption is active for Last Light. Both of those are okay, but Anti-Hero is so damn good. I use it on every class, every time. I've never gone back to the Last Light or the Pact. Anti-Hero is the way to go, and it just murders people. Now for here, I would choose Forsaking Others for story mode, and Dark Age is also pretty good. You can do either one, but Forsaking Others is good in story mode, and Dark Age is good in primarily versus. But it's either or. This one is actually very flexible. Now for this one, I go with Duelist on just about on anything. So story mode or versus, I go with Duelist because Galilea does the most damage with her shield. with her sword rather. You know, I don't block all that much, so, and it's only a 35% reflect chance for Mirror Knight, so not a high chance, not all that great. And Duelist I prefer because, hey, it just means you kill enemies faster. Now, this one is, once again, up to you. I prefer Inescapable Fate, just because I want to slow my opponents down, because not only do I use the very first augment, way up here at the top, Vortex, to pull them into my reach, but once I pull them in with Vortex, Inescapable Fate makes it so that they have a harder time to move. And I understand some people might like, well, Black Wind's Howl, it allows you to catch up to them, but we don't need to worry about Black Wind's Howl. Inescapable Fate is so good because it prevents them from being able to, you know, get away. Especially if you comboed that with with Bleak Quiet, and you silence them so that they're silenced and they're slowed now as they get pulled in. Like I said, it is, damn man, I just cannot get over just how strong Galilea is, even after the hotfix toned her down a bit. Now for this one, I prefer the Tide Turner. Hitting an enemy with my shield will increase movement speed. I prefer that on everything. The shield throw isn't meant for damage, in my opinion. It's just meant to disable your opponents. But with Tide Turner, you get that 30% bonus movement speed, and we're going to combo that with a special item that I give Galilea, you know, one of the 3 pieces of equipment, and we'll go into that later. But Tide Turner is very good. It gives her that initial movement speed to close any gap that remains between her and the opponent she just stunned. And last but not least, I choose Pitch Black. I prefer Galilea to be fully corrupted. That way, if I go into Abyssal form and as like a defensive mechanism, like I'm about to die, like for instance, Wrath starts using his Dreadwind attack and I'm about to die. As soon as Galilea pops back up from Abyssal form, she's fully corrupted and able to immediately to gain the maximum bonus from Antihero. That is essential. Like I said, Antihero is so goddamn good. I have to get fully corrupted as fast as possible, and Pitch Black keeps me corrupted. Deeper Than Doubt, yes, Abyssal Form's area of effect is good, but I would prefer, like, if Deeper Than Doubt actually made Galilea move faster or made her recover more health, I would consider it. But because it only increases the area of effect for Deeper Than Doubt by only 33%, it's not, there's no contest between for my playstyle. I prefer Pitch Black in story and versus. And that's my overall Helix loadout for Galilea. Now, before we head back to the gameplay, I'd like to go over the item loadout, because this is very important. The first item we have right here is something to increase her base movement speed. It's not a whole lot, but as you can tell, the movement speed is increased, and the movement speed is increased even further for 5 seconds after landing a melee hit. And since we are using Galilea, we are going to be using melee hits all damn day. So the next piece we have is this little drink. We're going to increase her sprint speed by 9.27%, almost 10%, and then we're going to increase it further while her health is under 50%. This allows her to rush in and out of battle, and if you notice during the gameplay, you see, before and after this segment, I don't hesitate to rush into battle with very low health. It's very good. And right here we have the Scoundrel's Hurricane, which is an increase in attack speed, not damage, but speed, and another further increase in attack speed when we land critical hits. So not as frequent as if it were just melee hits, so that would be awesome, but this is what we're focusing on. We're focusing on attack speed, movement speed, and sprinting speed. Speed is the key that I have found with my personal playstyle, and you're going to see me rush into battle, rush away from battle. Speed is lethal. We are speed demons, and we are just going to go ahead and rush into battle and kill as many enemies as we can. So now when it comes to my advice on how to play with Galilea, I would say rush from the flanks and use the speed. With all the items we've given her, she is able to constantly harass and flank your opponents. As you can see right here, I got up here into their area. I destroyed their health station and their turrets. They're constantly freaking out. They're double teaming me, they're triple teaming me, and even still when I get outnumbered sometimes, I still wipe them all out. Galilea is that damn good. She is not to be underestimated. If you see a Galilea on the field, she better be one of your top priorities from now on. Now, I'm gonna be honest. I'm not gonna lie. This gameplay you're seeing is actually gameplay from, I believe, the 11th of May, which was before the hotfix, which was before Galilea got slightly toned down. But make no mistake, she is still dangerous. She is still a monster. She is still able to get double kills and triple kills. She is still a serious threat. She is not to be taken lightly regardless. If an experienced player gets a hold of her, she is a force to be reckoned with. And she is very evasive at times. As you can see right here, I can catch people off guard by going underground. And people sometimes they just don't stand a chance. I mean, in this game right here, I killed Umbra 7 times. That's how I unlocked that Wraith of Bliss achievement. So, like, I just kill enemies relentlessly. I chase them down. They don't get away from, And one very important tactic is, if you're chasing an enemy and it seems like you're not catching up to them, well, stop for a fraction of a second and sprint. Because Galilea is actually capable of doing her entire combo at max speed sprinting. I know this sounds a little weird, but she actually is, and with the increased movement speed and the increased sprint speed and the increased attack speed, speed is key for Galilea. She's a speed demon, and we're going to use that to our advantage, and we're just going to generate a bunch of unfair advantages. As you see right here, I don't hesitate to charge into situations with low life. I can run up to someone and I could just quickly put them away before they even have a chance. So if they have low health and I have low health, I don't fear anyone. I don't fear anyone. If we both have very low health, I don't fear anyone. And even if they don't have low health, if I'm like fighting 2 people that have like half health and I have like a quarter health left and my entire overshield, I still don't fear them. Like, I hardly fear anyone as Galilea. Galilea is an absolute monster. And with the items that we've given her, the increased movement speed, sprint speed, and attack speed, look at how I'm able to outpace people. I'm able to outpace and outmaneuver my teammates and my opponents. I catch them off guard. They don't stand a chance. They're completely helpless, especially in these types of situations where there's a lot of chaos going on. Multiple enemies and multiple allies going back and forth. They are just not able to cope with the onslaught that Galilea can unleash. So I would strongly recommend, for all you people trying to learn how to play Galilea, don't try and be tanky with her. Rush from the flanks, catch your opponents off guard, build up your corruption as quickly as possible, use anti-hero to the best of your abilities, use items to increase her attack speed. You can choose to focus on attack speed and attack damage if you want. I tried focusing on attack damage and health and it just didn't work. But once I focused on movement speed, attack speed, and sprint speed, once I focused on that, the results were night and day difference. Like, my 2 best games where I got like 26 kills, this gameplay that you've been seeing in this entire video, these are combined from 2 games, and both games I got 26 kills, which is still my personal record to this day. I know there are people who have definitely got more, absolutely. I would be shocked if I held the world record, but Galilea is a constant nuisance, a constant threat, and she is a big problem to deal with in the hands of someone who knows how to use her. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm not that great at this game, I'm okay, but even in my hands, Galilea was a force to be reckoned with. Enemies would just look at me and sometimes they'd be like, okay, nope, he's killed me like 4 times in a row, I'm not even gonna deal with it. Like, people just see me and run. They just don't even try and attack me anymore. Even if I have low health, sometimes they don't want a piece of Galilea, because that's how dangerous she really is. She is just a force to be reckoned with. So, for all you Galilea players out there, I know, she might be frustrating to deal with at times, and she is a little difficult to learn. She's hard to pick up, she's not a beginner player. But she is well worth the effort. She is so worth putting the time and investing the time into getting her down. Once you get the right items, once you find your own little personal magic combo set, go to town, have fun. Galilea is an absolute blast. I can't recommend her strongly enough. She is one of the best melee characters, if not one of the best characters in the game, and she is definitely someone who commands respect on the battlefield. And that's going to do it for my gameplay. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to like, favorite, subscribe, comment down below, follow me on Twitch and Twitter, and I will see you guys all later in my next video. This is RadTech Shoes signing off.